When I was little, I was convinced my dad was the president of the country, maybe even the world. He was just that busy, always in a meeting or on a plane or about to hop onto an urgent call. Whenever he'd be rushing off with a head pat and Mom saw my sad face, she'd just say, "Don't cry, Abby. How about we send Daddy off with a smile instead of tears? That way, he knows we're proud of him." Turns out, he was just the president of his own company. And whatever his reasons, eventually I just got used to him hardly being around. Not even when I was 14 and Mom got really sick. Not even when she slipped into a coma and the house fell too quiet. And when Dad announced a few months later that his girlfriend Kimberly, who looked closer to my age than his, was moving in, I didn't cry or make a fuss. When he wasn't working, he was out, somewhere with her, and I was alone at home, which was nothing new. But soon after I turned 17, my whole world flipped upside down when I found out, on the news by the way, that Dad got arrested for embezzling millions of dollars. I had no idea where he was being held. Kimberly vanished faster than her credit card limit at a Louis Vuitton sale, and none of my friends came to visit. But a social worker turned up soon.
I'm sorry, sweetheart, but we tried Kimberly, your aunt, even a few of your father's friends, but no one on his side is able to take you in right now. Your mom's parents, however, are more than happy to. The only thing is, they live overseas.
Yeah, in Thailand. I'm not moving to the other side of the planet.
I understand it's a lot of changes, but you don't have any other relatives. Either way, it'll take a few months for the paperwork. So, for now, you'll be placed in foster care.
And just like that, in one night, I went from a private jet designer clothes kind of girl to a foster kid whose whole life fit into a couple of cardboard boxes. After hours of driving, we finally reached some middle-of-nowhere town at 3 a.m. We turned down a creepy forest path and stopped at a tiny house with the lights on. A suspiciously cheerful woman stood outside, and behind her, a boy squinted at me like I was gonna steal his snacks.
Hello, Abigail. I'm Jadis, and this is Ezra. He's been in foster care for a while. Can we call you Abby?
Only my friends call me Abby.
Got it. Well, let me show you to your bedroom. You must be exhausted.
More like completely dead inside. I curled up in bed, but I just couldn't fall asleep. I don't know if it was the cramped room or the fact that I found a bunch of cheap crystals shoved under the old mattress. But once I tossed them out, I finally managed to doze off. I woke up around noon, feeling disoriented.
Good afternoon, sleepyhead. Must have been the crystals I put under your mattress. They never fail.
In daylight, I realized the house wasn't just tiny. It was weird. The kitchen was a jungle of odd plants. The dining table was buried under books in unrecognizable languages. And 4 cats were staring at me like they knew something I didn't. One of them, I'm not even sure was a cat. When I got back to my room, I found Jadis folding my clothes on the floor. My designer clothes!
I've enrolled you in the public school here. Are these the only outfits you have?
Yeah? Something wrong with them? She shook her head, but the next morning, I understood why she'd asked. Everyone at school looked like they had rolled straight out of bed. Like, do these people not have TikTok? No way they're that poor. They've definitely got Wi-Fi. But the longer the day dragged on, the more it felt like I was the one completely out of touch. I tried to ignore the giggles and side eyes, but then I heard this gem.
Dude, isn't she the daughter of that billionaire guy who stole, like, oceans of cash?
I was so embarrassed that the second I got home, I marched straight into my room and slammed the door behind me.
Everything okay? Your grandparents called today. They really want to talk to you, Abby.
Don't call me that.
She's just throwing a tantrum. First-timers always do. Let her cry it out.
That smug little gremlin. I jumped off the bed and yanked the door open. Who do you think you're talking about? I'm not some stray off the street like you.
Abigail, that's enough. We don't yell in this house. You owe Ezra.
At least I know what I am. You're just a rich, clueless girl who thinks she's better than the rest of us. But let's face it, you're here because your dad didn't care enough about you and no one else wanted to clean up the mess he left behind.
You little... I lunged at him, and we went full WWE until Jadis jumped in. Don't ever talk about my dad again. He's a good person. You'll see. You'll all see. I slammed the door hard, but an hour later, there was a soft knock, and Jadis walked in with a plate of cookies.
Fresh from the oven. Do you think we can talk?
What? You think if you send some cookies and warm smiles my way, I'll spill my life story to you and we'll become best friends?
Oh no, Sweet Pea, I'm here to help you.
That's what everyone says. The cops, the social worker, and now you. But so far, everyone's failing miserably.
Let me rephrase that. I can help your father if you believe he deserves a second chance. Do you really think your dad is a good person?
I knew Dad wasn't perfect, and all the evidence mounting up against him wasn't looking good. But yeah, I didn't really believe he was a criminal. Of course I do. She pulled out a golden pocket watch.
You get 3 chances, that's all. You can go back as far as you want. Days, months, years. Just not before you were born. So choose wisely.
And then she just walked out. I stared at the pocket watch she'd left on the bed, and suddenly, all I felt was rage. This was her idea of helping me? I grabbed it and chucked it against the wall. It bounced off and fell to the floor with a clink. But then, it started glowing from inside. A soft, golden pulse flickered from the seams. I picked it up cautiously, and the lid snapped open on its own. Inside wasn't a regular clock face. Instead, there was a flickering digital display in the center. Beneath that, a small metal dial rotated smoothly, like it was waiting for me to decide. Wait, so what Jadis had said about going back in time? There was no way this was real, right? But then I thought about everything I'd lost. My dad, my house, my friends, my whole life. Maybe, ridiculous as it seemed, it was worth a try. I turned the dial back to a week earlier, took a deep breath, and pressed the glowing button. And suddenly, I felt like I was being yanked down. The room twisted into a blur of light and color, and when everything came to a halt, I realized I was back in my room. My real room, with my lavender walls, my plush rug, and my wall of designer shoes. I just sat there in shock until I heard voices downstairs. Wait, did someone buy this house already? But then, the voices started to sound familiar. No way! Dad? In the kitchen, I found Dad and Kimberly mid-makeout session. I ran straight to Dad, pushed Kimberly aside, and hugged him tight.
Abigail, what are you doing here? Weren't you at school?
I'm not going back to that new school. It was awful. Just let me stay. I won't tell anyone you escaped prison and came here.
Escaped prison? And what new school?
She looks upset about something. Give her your credit card, babe.
Ugh, Kimberly. His accounts are probably all frozen by now.
Huh? Why would my accounts be frozen?
Because of the money embezzlement case?
What? Me? Embezzling money? Sounds like someone had a bad dream. I promise you, even if your dad was doing that, he'd never get caught. Now, how about that shopping trip Kimberly mentioned? I've got to head to the office.
So, it was all a dream? Jadis, the foster home, Dad getting arrested? It all felt so real. But when I got into the car on the way to the mall, I felt Jadis's gold watch in my pocket. Did I just travel back in time for real?
Sorry, miss. Didn't catch that.
Nothing. Take me to my dad's office, please. I'd never been there before, so after an FBI-level interrogation at the front desk, I was allowed to go up with a security guard. The second the elevator doors opened, I knew something was off. The whole floor felt really tense. Phones ringing off the hook, people typing on their keyboards like maniacs, a woman sobbing silently at her desk. Just then, a man holding a stack of folders came rushing down the hallway, and I bumped into him, sending papers flying everywhere.
Look what you've done! Who let this idiot up in the office? Do you think this is a place for a moron teenager to be wandering around?
The security guard said something in his ear, and the man instantly turned white, dropping to his knees.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry, miss. I had no idea you were the boss's daughter. Please forgive me. I'm a worm, a worthless worm. There's a spot on your shoe. Would you like me to clean it?
What the heck was happening? After I'd calmed the man down and reached Dad's office, I found him yelling at some employee. When he noticed me in the doorway, he waved at the woman to leave like she was some annoying fly. Gosh, he was clearly a terror around here, and I was already scared to say what I'd come to say.
Well, this is rare. Since when does my daughter take an interest in my work?
I need you to be honest with me, Dad. Don't ask me how or where I heard this, but people are saying things about you embezzling money. I know you'd never do something like that, right? He just seemed really annoyed and kept asking me where I'd heard such a crazy thing. Obviously, I had no good answer. What was I gonna say? That I'd traveled back from the future? Eventually, he got tired and sent me home escorted by 2 bodyguards so they could keep tabs on what I was watching or who I was talking to. By now, I was beginning to feel convinced he was lying to me. And those bodyguards were everywhere. They even ate with me, watched reality TV with me, and stood guard in my bedroom while I slept. But the worst part was when they came with me to school. And obviously, questions followed.
Did you try to run away? Fall in love with the gardener? Careful, Abby. Make your dad mad and he might cut off your credit card.
I just felt angry and sad. I couldn't tell them the truth. And worse, they couldn't even sense on their own that I was going through something big. Dad, on the other hand, was avoiding me like I was carrying a subpoena. And then came the day of the arrest. I ran to him as he was heading out for brunch with Kimberly. Please, Dad, you have to listen to me. They're coming to arrest you today. Turn yourself in. If you do it voluntarily, the sentence will be lighter. Think about me. Think about my future. He actually paused, and his face went pale. But Kimberly just looped her arm through his and dragged him away. And that evening, I got the news. Apparently, I freaked Dad out so much, he panicked, stuffed a bunch of cash into a golf bag, and tried to flee the country. Tried being the key word. He didn't even make it past airport security. So, yeah, now his sentence was way worse. Great job, me. Time travel mission number 1? Totally nailed it. I just sat in the living room, staring at the wall. Then I felt that weird pull again, and the next thing I knew, I was back in that little room at Jadis's house. I stormed out looking for her, my heart pounding. Instead, I found Ezra in the kitchen, eating lunch and casually reading some bizarre book.
Oh, hey, you're back. Your grandparents called again, by the way.
Where is Jadis? I need to talk to her.
She's out of town for a few days.
What? But I messed everything up. I made things worse, and I don't know what to do now. She has to tell me how I can make it better the next time.
If you ask me, you're just wasting your time.
Good thing I'm not asking you then. She's a witch, isn't she? All the weird plants and those cats.
Everyone thinks Salem's a cat at first. Honestly, even I don't know what he is.
Who is everyone? Ezra told me Jadis had taken in foster kids for years. Most of them eventually moved on to new families or adult life, except for Ezra, who stayed and became her apprentice.
Sorry for what I said earlier. I just get tired of seeing kids like you show up, acting all sure of yourselves, and then getting your hearts broken. Again and again.
My heart didn't get broken. I just kinda blew it. But next time, I'll get it right.
Maybe think about what matters most before you play time god again.
What What could possibly matter more than stopping my dad from getting arrested?
Liking this video and subscribing to MSA. Kidding. Obviously not more important than saving your dad, but still important.
Already did, genius. Keep up. Ugh, boys are annoying. Clearly, he wasn't gonna help. And I couldn't wait around for days for Jadis. The next morning, I borrowed clothes from Ezra and dressed like a total disaster. Public school chic. I figured I'd survive the day, try to work out what point in time I had to go back to, and reset my life by afternoon. But then, during lunch, a group of kids walked up to me.
Hey, we just wanted to say sorry. Some people have been saying stuff about you that's not cool. Everyone's got family drama.
We're gonna go get ice cream after school. You should come.
It was the first time since everything fell apart that someone looked at me like a person instead of a headline. Thanks, really, but I can't today. I'll come another time. They nodded and walked off, although, if I got this second trip right, there wasn't gonna be another time. That night, I sat on my bed with my laptop, combing through every article about my dad's case. I found something in a financial report the police had released. The earliest suspicious transaction was flagged 3 years ago. It was some months after Mom had fallen into a coma, and right when Kimberly first slithered into our lives. So that's when I had to go back, a little before he ended up making some really poor choices. When I landed back in my room, the walls were bubblegum pink, and there were BTS posters taped on every wall. I turned to the mirror. Braces, uneven bangs, and a zit forming right between my eyebrows. Yep, that's me at 14, all right. Let's do this. Just then, a maid knocked on my door, saying my dad wanted to see me downstairs. And I found Dad standing in the living room, next to a woman who looked like she just walked off the set of a reality show called Gold Diggers of Beverly Hills. Ugh.
Abby, sweetheart, this is Kimberly. She's a special friend. I know you miss your mom, but just know she's not here to replace her.
Hi, Annabelle. It's so nice to finally meet you. And I'm definitely not looking to be your mom, so you have nothing to worry about.
I'd apparently traveled right back to the day when I first met her. And just as I remembered, that evening we went to some overpriced restaurant together, which basically felt like me third-wheeling on their date. But the real show started when Kimberly invited me to the bathroom with her. She spotted a diamond ring on the edge of the sink, and she just slipped it on.
Ooh, look at that. It fits me like a dream.
Shouldn't you give it to the restaurant staff? Someone probably forgot it here and they might come back for it.
Sweetheart, if we hand it over, you think the staff won't pocket it themselves? And come on, have you seen the people who come here? Whoever left this probably has a yacht full of rings like this. Rich people don't even notice when stuff goes missing. Trust me, I know.
The first time around, I'd been shocked by her behavior, but I just stayed quiet. Not this time, though. Back at home, I messaged one of Dad's old assistants who freelanced as a private investigator. And 24 hours later, I had Kimberly's rap sheet. A stack of petty theft charges, and a dating history that looked like the Forbes billionaire list. She's been arrested for shoplifting 5 times. She's not just a thief, she's a bad one.
Yes, I know all about that. She told me. She was young and impulsive, and she didn't grow up with money like you. But those days are behind her now.
Right, because people just get over these things. I didn't have proof yet, but something told me Kimberly definitely planted criminal ideas in Dad's head. My plan this time had 2 parts. One was to stick to Dad like glue. If we got closer, he'd be more scared to get into a life of crime and potentially ruin my future, right? And the second part was Operation Break Up Dad and Kimberly. So I tagged along with them everywhere. Every date, launch party, and charity gala. But I also tried to make her life with us a living hell. I threw her cigarettes in the trash, the toilet, and one time into the blender in her green smoothie. And when they got mad at me, I put on my best Bambi eyes. I'm just trying to protect her. What if she drops dead? Or worse, gets forehead lines? She's already 2 bad selfies away from looking 60. Then came Dad's birthday. I tracked down his ex from college and invited her to his birthday party. I sat by her, talked to her, followed her around, and then, right within earshot of Kimberly, I called her Mom. Wow, did I just call someone I barely know Mom? That kinda slipped out. I mean, it's not like I'd ever say that to Kimberly. Some connections are just instant. But my friends at school just couldn't understand why I wanted Kimberly gone.
She seems young and cool, and your dad's happy. So what if she spends his money? Don't you? Honestly, we're kind of overhearing you complain about how much you hate her.
When I get back to my real life, I'm definitely not keeping in touch with these two. I knew eventually she'd try to convince Dad to send me off to some boarding school, so I made sure I had plenty of heartfelt moments with him. Dad, I ordered you sushi again with my allowance because you're the best dad in the entire world.
Oh, thank you, sweetheart, for ordering me sushi for the 36th time this month.
Because you work so hard and never get mad at me. You're my hero. We'll always be together, right?
Of course, honey. You know I'd never let anything come between us.
Obviously. I know you think about me in everything you do and everywhere you go. And it seemed to work. It was obvious Kimberly was getting increasingly pissed off by me. Then one Sunday morning, when Dad and I were having breakfast on the terrace, Kimberly strolled out and unrolled her Pilates mat to find something written on it in glitter glue. Gold Digger Barbie. And she snapped.
I've just had it! I can't live like this anymore!
Like what?
Like this, with her breathing down our necks every second and messing up my life. She replaced my collagen powder with powdered sugar. She made my shampoo smell like tuna. She's a little demon and I hate her. You have to choose now. It's me or her.
If I have to choose, it'll obviously be Abigail.
Kimberly screamed and stormed off. And when she left the house, he didn't go after her. He picked me. He also became the world's most charitable man, founding his own nonprofits for children. The sick, the elderly, the poor, and even animals. All I had to do now was make sure no future gold digger dragged him back into crime. But then, I got home from school one day, and guess who was waiting for me in the living room? That annoying social worker! Again! Turns out, all those charities he started, yeah, some of the money did go to the people who needed it, but most of it went straight into his own pocket. So it wasn't Kimberly who was the bad influence after all? I didn't get much time to think about it though, because the next thing I knew, I was yanked straight back to Jadis's couch. Ezra was leaning on the hall doorway, staring at me.
Let me guess. Didn't work?
I hated that idiot so much. Of course, I wasn't about to give up. Jadis was back, and I really needed her advice on how to get it right the third time.
Later, sweetie. Ezra's mom is coming to visit soon, and we just don't have time for time travel right now, okay?
Ezra's mom was dressed in knockoff everything, drenched in drugstore perfume, and a full 70% of her hair was definitely extensions. From what I gathered, she'd been in and out of jail for a lot of petty thefts.
I get it. You want to stay with Jadis, but if you ever want to come back to me, I can give you a good home. I know I've said that before, but this time it's different. I've really changed.
Ezra didn't look too convinced, and she left about an hour later. You didn't have to be so cold to your mom. She came all the way out to this stupid place to see you. I get that she's done bad things, but she doesn't seem like a bad person. You could have at least given her a chance.
Look who's talking! The girl who ignores her grandparents. She always says, "This time she's changed, Abigail, and I've given her way more than 3 chances." Learn the pattern. People like her and your dad, they don't change. They just get sneakier.
The next day, I meant to plan my final time travel mission, but after how badly the last one flopped, I needed a distraction. So when my new friends invited me out for ice cream again, I actually said yes. On the way back, we passed the old playground in town, and one of the girls suggested we clean off the graffiti from the swings and benches. So we did. When I got home late, Jadis didn't scold me. She just smiled and said she was glad to see me having fun. That night, though, I couldn't sleep. I'd spent the whole day making friends instead of trying to save my dad. Warning him about the arrest hadn't worked. Removing Kimberly or getting closer didn't stop him. So what was I supposed to do? And then a thought hit me so hard, I sat up straight in bed. Mom! I'd been so focused on fixing Dad's life and mine. Why hadn't I used the watch to go back to her? I'd give anything to have more time with her. Maybe I could even talk to her about all this. If there was some way to make Dad stop, she'd know. The next morning, I ran straight to Jadis. I want to use my last jump now. I want to go back to when I was 13, a year before Mom got sick. She studied me for a second.
Just remember, Abby, some things aren't meant to be changed. So focus on what's worth holding on to.
I will. I twisted the dial. The world spun. And when it stopped, I was back in my old bedroom. Yeah, definitely 13 with my weird haircut. I ran out of the room, barely able to breathe. I was gonna see Mom again. As I looked for her around the house, I heard some quiet voices from the garden, and I crept closer. James, I really don't like this.
It's nothing serious, just moving money around. A little here, a little offshore.
This is exactly the kind of thing that gets people arrested. You swore you were done with this back before we even got married. I froze, but you never really stopped, did you?
This is different. I'm doing it for us, for Abigail.
You're not doing it for us. You're doing it for you. Just like you did when you cheated with that woman. What was her name? Kimberly? Amberly?
Why would you bring that up now? It was ages ago.
You lied then, and you're lying now. I didn't need to hear more. He'd been doing shady things since forever. And Mom knew. She'd tried to stop him. But Ezra was right. Dad was always like this, and he always would be. Why had I spent 2 time jumps on someone who totally didn't deserve it? Now, all I had to do was hold on to the one person who truly mattered. So I blinked back the tears, ran outside, and flung my arms around Mom. Abigail, are you okay?
There's my girl.
No, I just want to be with Mom. After that, I didn't let Dad get anywhere near me. Not that he tried much. He was barely ever home. I knew there was nothing I could do to stop what was coming a year later. Mom's disease was a genetic condition, and no early checkup could have prevented it. All I could do was make sure we had the time of our lives while she was still healthy. I told her I wanted to cook together, and she taught me her mom's best recipes. We took pottery classes and made hideous faces. She even tried a salsa class with me. We were both terrible and knocked over the instructor. We took a train to the coast and ate so much seafood we almost grew gills. We had a beautiful year of sunsets and silly movies and lovely trips, all on Dad's credit card, of course. And when she started getting sick, I always stayed close, reading with her in the garden, brushing her hair, letting her fall asleep on my shoulder. One afternoon, as we sat in the sun, she looked over at me. I didn't think I'd be saying this so soon, but you've grown up fast. Abby, if anything ever happens to me, and you don't feel safe or happy here with your dad always busy, I want you to go stay with my parents, please. You'll like them, and they'll take good care of you. I will, I promise. Mom, can I ask you something? Of course. Do you think Dad's a good person? She blinked at that, caught off guard. He's not perfect, not even close, but he's still your dad. And I hope someday you'll be able to forgive him, even if he's not always been there the way he should have. The next day, Mom slipped into a coma. A bunch of relatives I'd never even met showed up at the house. But the second they left, Dad ditched me with the house staff. When he came back a week later, I was waiting for him in the study. For Mom's sake, I would give him one last chance. Dad, I know you've been moving money around in shady ways for years. You've gotten away with it so far, but I promise it's gonna catch up with you, and you'll regret it more than anything. Also, I know you've been cheating on Mom with Kimberly for a long time. Don't bother denying it. Just know that when everything in your life falls apart, she'll drop you like a hot potato. She doesn't love you, and she never will. Dad stared at me in shock, and then he looked furious.
What is all this nonsense? Did your mother tell you to say all this to me?
No, I saw it in the future. I've been there because of this. I know it sounds crazy, but...
What the heck is this? What games are you playing? You think this is funny?
And then he lunged forward and grabbed the watch from me. Don't! But Dad had already slammed it on the floor and then stomped on it, and I heard a sickening crunch. He stormed off furiously as I knelt by the watch in panic. No. If this was broken, I'd be stuck here for 3 more years with him. But just then, there was a flicker, and the shattered interface lit up. Please work. I pressed the glowing button, and just like that, the world blurred, and I was back in Jadis's kitchen. Jadis smiled at me, while Ezra didn't even look up from his book. But I ran to him and gave him a hug. You're not that dumb, huh? The next day, I finally answered my grandparents' calls and told them I was ready to come stay with them in Thailand. At school, I told my friends I'd be leaving in a few months when my papers were finalized. And by the time I was ready to go, we'd had sleepovers, movie nights, and more scoops of ice cream than I could count. Then, on my last day, as I was busy packing my suitcases, Jadis called out to me excitedly from the living room.
Abby, quick! You've got a phone call!
And when I picked up the phone, my heart nearly jumped out of my chest when a familiar voice came through the other end. Abby, sweetheart, it's Mom.